This special Cop28 Insights panel discussion is brought to you in association with Nedbank.
Join the bank that's best for your money. Nedbank. See money differently.
Well, Cop28 has just been going on for about a week at this point, and much of the discussion has obviously been around sustainability and also climate finance and also just transition. And part of the team from South Africa attending Cop28 is Bronwyn Price, who is Strategy and Sustainability Executive from Nedbank. Bronwyn, thank you very much for joining us here all the way from Dubai. What have been the major talking points around sustainability and climate policy at this year's summit?
I think coming out of the summit, I think there have been three main points that I'm really seeing. The first one is really around the call to action, the recognition that the world is warming faster than we would like, that 2023 is the hottest year on record, and that really we need concerted and global action when we look at what needs to happen to enable the climate transition. The second one, I think, really is around the just part of the just transition. And pleasing to see South Africa really leading some of the discussions on that, how we understand the impact of the transition on lives and livelihoods, and what we need to do to have a more inclusive way of bringing in the voice at a local and a regional level into the transition and co-creating solutions around that. I think the third one, and it's early doors yet on it, is the tentative wording on phase down or phase out of fossil fuels coming through in the COP agreement. And if something is achieved on that, it really will be monumental, and I think a big step forward for us.
There certainly seems to be a lot of political and also economic will to start doing something. But your portfolio particularly deals with climate change at the intersection of sustainability and strategy and inherent trade-offs, these in forms of organizational perspective. From interactions at COP28 so far, are stakeholders aligned around sustainability strategies?
So I think given the number of different voices that you have at COP, with over 100,000 people being present this year, alignment is something that's probably hard to come by, which I think is probably one of the reasons their agreements take almost 2 weeks to get to some form of alignment. I think alignment really around, in the Africa space, the need for a just transition, for it to be inclusive, for us to understand local perspectives, how we bring those through. I think seeing a lot of discussion around that from different parts of South Africa leading that, the African Development Bank picking up and saying, we need to look at that in fossil fuel countries, but also in non-fossil fuel countries. And really, I think it's a monumental shift actually in how we bring in the local voice and drive that change that we need to.
Sustainable development finance is a theme many companies and organizations in Africa have touted as integral to the buy-in. You talk about local versus international and global issues in this transition process. What's the sentiment there at the summit around sustainable development finance?
So I think, when we look at sustainable development finance, I think what we're seeing is that the recognition really has been that Africa has not seen the flows of development finance and climate and nature related finance that it needs and that is needed to enable the just transition. And when we look at this, we need to look at it through the lens of development as well, so that we balance the sustainable element with the development element. And we understand how we really bring those together from a social and an economic perspective. When you look at some of the flows of financing from an Africa's perspective, there are a number of different things that really need to happen to unlock the scale of finance that's required for the just transition. And I think some of them are that we need a lower cost of capital. We need to look at some of the blended finance structures that are available. And these really look at how we bring development finance together with commercial finance to see how we can scale the capital that's available for sustainable projects. And we need to get more of these projects to bankability stage as well. So I think, few different things coming in there really that look at how we can scale those flows of financing going forward and have the impact that we really want and that we need.
Are the strategies of organizations in South Africa and perhaps the rest of Africa aligned regarding setting climate risk priorities? Is there something they may have taken away from COP28 to better navigate this climate risk journey over the next short to medium term? Because as you were saying, everyone agrees it's getting too hot, but not everybody agrees on the runway and the path to solve that.
Yeah, I think if you look at climate risk, it focuses on a number of different things. The physical risk, and I think that's probably the most easily understood, and that's what's the impact of extreme weather events and changes in weather patterns on organizations and institutions, and how do we understand those and how do we prepare for them? And I think in that regard, it's really around the preparation that needs to happen for those events. If you haven't put a water system in before a drought, during the drought, you don't have the cash flows to do that. So it's really around preparation and understanding for that. Transition adaptation risk, I think a lot harder to understand for organizations. And I think some progress around that, but possibly more of the focus has been around the physical risk discussions at this point in time.
Well, Bronwyn, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us, and good luck with the last few stages and days at COP28, and hope to see you back in South Africa soon. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thank you so much.
That was Bronwyn Price, who's Strategy and Sustainability Executive from Nedbank. Don't forget, you can watch some more COP28 programming right here on Business Day TV over the next few days, and we also give you an interview and insights on COP28 towards the end of the Global Climate Summit next week. This special COP28 Insights panel discussion is brought to you in association with Nedbank.
Join the bank that's best for your money. Nedbank. See money differently.